Good evening. I want to begin with a moment of honesty. I'm a mother of 3. My 2 older children grew up with the usual bumps and joys of childhood. But my youngest, Imagine Moore, he's 3 years old and he's autistic. And parenting him has opened my eyes to a world I didn't fully understand before. A world of sensory overload, unpredictable meltdowns, and the deep ache of watching your child struggle in spaces that weren't made for him. Imagine walking into a church, a movie theater, or even a playground. And instead of feeling welcome, your child is overwhelmed by the noise, the lights, and all of the chaos. For families like mine, this isn't imagination, it's reality. And today, I want to persuade you of something simple but powerful. Sensory inclusive spaces aren't just helpful, they're essential. They're a reflection of compassion, community, and Christ-like love. And they should be the norm, not the exception. So let's start with what sensory processing differences actually mean. For children like my baby boy, Imagine Moore, everyday environments can feel overwhelming, from the bright lights to the loud noise in the overcrowded rooms. These things can trigger intense reactions, not because he's misbehaving, but because his brain processes stimuli differently. Research shows that sensory processing challenges affect how children regulate emotions, interact socially, and feel safe. And when those needs aren't met, it can lead to meltdowns, not tantrums, but moments of distress that are often misunderstood. I'll be honest, I didn't have to deal with any of this with my 2 older kids. So when Imagine started having meltdowns, I felt lost. I almost had a meltdown. I couldn't pinpoint the cause. Was it the fluorescent lights, the echo of the room, the texture of his clothes, his food? It was very stressful. But I'm learning to embrace it. I'm learning to see the world through Imagine's eyes. And I'm reminded of Psalms 139. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Imagine is fearfully and wonderfully made. His differences are not defects. They're part of his divine design. And I'm a firm believer that God does not make mistakes. Now, let's talk about what happens when spaces aren't inclusive. Families like mine often feel isolated. We skip events. We leave early. We brace ourselves for the judgment when our child melt down in public. Everybody looking. It's not just about inconvenience. It's about dignity. And study shows that lack of sensory accommodations leads to emotional strains, social withdrawal, and even spiritual disconnection. Imagine wanting to attend church, but knowing your child will be overwhelmed by the music or the crowd. Imagine wanting to go to a simple birthday party, but fearing the noise would trigger a meltdown. This isn't just a parenting challenge, it's a community issue. And Galatians 6:2 says, carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. Creating sensory inclusive spaces is one way we carry each other's burdens. It's how we say, you belong here. Your child belong here. We love you. We welcome you. The good news is the solutions exist and they benefit everyone. Sensory-friendly movie nights, quiet rooms in churches, visual schedules, noise canceling headphones. These are simple accommodations that make a huge difference. And they don't just help the autistic children. They help kids with ADHD, anxiety, trauma, and even neurotypical kids who just need a break. In my own home, we started adapting activities. We recently had a K-pop themed movie night for my kids. I created a simple poster board with visuals and a sensory-friendly activity list. It wasn't fancy, but it was inclusive. And both my older kids and Imagine enjoyed it. Romans 12:10 says, be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourselves. Inclusion is a form of honor. It's how we show love in action. No child, or adult for that matter, left behind. So here's my plea. Please hear me out. Let's make sensory inclusive spaces the norm. Let's advocate for quiet rooms in churches. Let's support sensory friendly events in our communities. Let's educate ourselves and others, not out of pity, but out of respect. Because every child, every human deserves to feel safe, seen, and celebrated. And every parent deserves to walk into a space without fear or apology. Let us be the hands and feet of Jesus, creating environments where families like mine don't just survive, but we thrive. I want to thank you so very much for your time and attention on tonight. Hopefully this touched someone in some way and you can share it with a friend. I do have my daughter Harmony here because I was required to have one guest in the car with me while I'm doing my speech. So once again, thank you guys so much for listening, and I pray you have a blessed night.